to another episode of A Drummer's Guide to. So this week I have a question from Nathan Griffiths, good friend of mine. Lovely fella, great drummer, plays in a U2 tribute band actually, one of the best in the UK, so go check them out if you are inclined to. But he wanted to ask me about festivals. Now at the moment, currently as of filming this, it's June in 2020, which means we're right in the middle of the COVID crisis still, which means that not a lot of festivals are going on. In fact, none are, only online ones. But at some point, they will come back, and I thought this would be a great topic to cover anyway, because once they are back, I want you to be prepared. So, Nathan, thank you for this question. It really helps. So, right, let's get to festivals. Now, festivals are great fun. They're amazing. When you get to go play them, they are spectacular, especially if there's like a huge crowd, big stage, lots of crew, loads of bands kicking about. It can be so much fun. But essentially, a festival is like a really big gig with all of the variables that you can possibly imagine for things to go wrong. So even down to things like the fact that realistically, unless you're headlining, you're probably not going to get a sound check. You'll be very, very lucky if you get a line check, which means, you know, just checking that all the lines are working before you go on. Everything can go wrong because there are, like I said, there's like a flux of things changing, you know, new bands arriving, old bands leaving, or artists, whatever, setting up stuff backstage, loads of strangers trying to work together, which can cause friction, or it can work really well as all the stuff backstage, loads of different bands, loads of dressing rooms, loads of entourages. I mean, it is mass chaos. But there are ways that you can minimize the chaos and you can maximize your experience and your set and your gig and your performance and your enjoyment of the whole scenario, because it is fun. Fundamentally, it is great fun. It's chaotic, but it's really fun. So the number one thing that I'd say when playing a festival is to minimize the things that can go wrong that you can have control of. Like I say, there are so many things that will be completely out of your control, but the things that you can control them. Control freak over here. I know, you know me well enough now. I'm a control freak. It's fine. First off, number one, easiest thing you can control, your material. So whatever it is that you're playing, your instrument and the songs that you're playing, your set, know it inside and out. Don't be chucking in a random song just before you go on that, you know, a couple of you have sort of jammed once, but it kind of worked, but it kind of didn't. No, don't do that. That is just asking for trouble. Make sure you know your set inside and out. Now, what else does that mean? That also means know it so well that even if you go on stage and you can't hear anything, you can still play the gig. And yes, that's happened to numerous people, numerous times, myself included, where you get on stage and your monitor's there and it's like, cool, nothing, awesome, not ideal, but you just got to find a way through it. So what I try and do as well is I try to imagine the worst possible things that can happen and how I can deal with them. So for instance, a lot of gigs that I've done over the last 10 years, I suppose now, have involved electronics. I love electronics when they work. When they don't, it's such a nightmare. But I know my electronics rigs so well that if I go on stage and something's up, so if even something silly like there's no power, someone forgot to switch it on, or someone accidentally switched it off, or the power cable's accidentally been unplugged, or it's just loose, or, you know, there's so many things that it could be, but I've been through every single possible thing. I've lived through most of them as well. Unfortunately, fortunately, I don't know. So I know what to do. I know instantly where I should be looking, how I should be fixing this. Equally, right, it's on the wrong patch. Cool, I know how to deal with that. Okay, now, one of my pads is double triggering. Awesome, I know how to deal with that. Like I said, I can't hear anything in my ears. Okay, I know how to deal with that. If I can't hear the drums in my ears, I know how to deal with that. And I try and be as self-sufficient as I can. Now, this isn't obviously 100% foolproof because I'm a fool. But the other thing that I sort of try to imagine is, okay, for instance, I did this gig. It was with Tom Bailey from the Thompson Twins. It was this big comeback gig. It was at Rewind Henley. It was a big deal. And I got on stage and my ears, I couldn't hear anything in my ears. My whole monitoring system went down. Now that would be fine if you had acoustic instruments on stage. No. The whole setup was electronic. It was a silent stage, what they call a silent stage. No, there was nothing coming out of the monitors on stage. There weren't any monitors on stage. It was just in our ears. So what that meant was I literally had zero way of knowing where we were. I couldn't hear a thing. The only thing I could hear was the slap back off the back of the, I say the back, it was in a field, but the slap back from the front house. Not ideal, I can tell you. So my instant thing was trying to get the attention of the techs, who were then trying to fix the situation. They had their own things in their head that they needed to do, that they already knew, right, if that happens, this happens, we'll put that in place in case something happens. They had a line that was hardwired that they ended up hardwiring to me. But the point was the gig happened. Now, don't get me wrong, that first song, oh, it's awful. Oh, it's so bad. If you want to look it up and have a laugh, then that's fine. Go do that. But the point was the gig happened. And it wasn't perfect, but it happened. And sometimes you've just got to be thankful for that. So I'd say, yeah, try and control every aspect of the gig that you can control. Things will go wrong. It's inevitable. It's a festival. So many things happen and you can't even fathom sometimes the things that happen. But the things that you can fathom, just have a plan in your head, right, if that happens. For instance, your whole electronics rig just might not work, for instance. So let's say on the Kim gig, whole electronics rig might not work. Okay, cool. If that happens, that sucks, because that is pretty much my role on stage, is to be playing electronic percussion and all sorts of stuff like that. However, if it does go down, all right, cool. I've got a shaker that makes a noise. I have two toms that make a noise. I have cymbals that make a noise. I can do something. I can sort of try and put something together that will work. It won't be perfect. It won't be the set that I want to play, but as in set of songs, not drum set. I mean, it's also not the drum set I want to play if it's not working. But you can find a way around it. If you can do that, then you'll be worth your weight in gold, trust me. So I'd say try and do that. Just try and play out all the scenarios that can possibly go wrong. Not to sound pessimistic, of course. And most of the time, everything's great. But it's just good to know in yourself, if things go wrong, I have a plan of action. So let's talk about the things surrounding the actual gig. So let's take the gig out of it. When you get there, make sure that so before you get there, you should have spoken to the stage manager to make sure that you have a time that you can load your gear onto stage. So make sure that you stick to that time. Do not be early, because there probably won't be space. Do not be late. I have a big thing about being late, not my vibe, ever. So don't be late. And when you're told to go out and set up stuff, if you have time to set up beside a stage, it might not be that kind of gig, do it. Another thing that you can do is, make sure you're ready to go on stage, to move your kit on stage. Another thing you can do is help, if you're a drummer especially, help the drummer that is on before you take their gear off the stage if they're struggling, which if they're doing their own gear, inevitably, I don't know about you, I love it when another drummer is like, do you want a hand? And it's like, oh God, that's so nice. What a nice thing. There's a lot to be said of just being nice, and it's so easy because you know what it's like. You've been there. So anyway, help the person before you get their stuff off the stage, because that's going to help you get your stuff on the stage. It's going to keep the stage manager happy, which means you're going to get on time. That's another thing. Go on time. Now, sometimes schedules do run behind and just the whole shebang is late. Fine. Try and make up as much time as you can, because that stage manager will love you for it. If you're late on stage, they will hate you. Literally, if it's in your control, they will hate you. Equally, do not overrun your set. Please don't overrun your set. And if they are running late, drop a song. It's not the end of the world. Yes, it's not ideal, but just drop a song, because you're more likely to get called back. If you were the band that helped the time come back on track, people are going to be like, they're pretty cool. Another thing is to get your gear off stage quickly. That's one of my biggest pet peeves when I'm doing gigs and doing festivals, and the band before are just dawdling. They're like, well, we're done now, so who cares? And they're slowly coiling up their cables. No, be nice. Come on, be thoughtful about the next band that's on, about the whole, festival. The people that are waiting to hear another band, the stage manager that's tearing their hair out. Oh my gosh, yeah, it can be stressful, but if you're considerate of other people, it actually can be really good. What else do I have to say on the subject? Oh, this is a silly one, but if you're backstage and you're doing a festival where a band or an artist is playing that you're a fan of, please do not go up to them and ask them for an autograph or a photo. Please don't. By all means, be casual, be like, you're right, just like you're right, like passing whilst you're walking somewhere or whatever it is, fine. Who knows what happens? I mean, so many different things happens backstage at festivals and catering and stuff like that. So just be cool, be normal. And the way that I see it is that there are two ways that you can go with artists when you come across them. You can either place yourself firmly in the position of being a fan, which is fine, but it puts a certain barrier to the relationship that you can then have into the future. Or you can build it and be more casual and be more just normal, I guess, like as if you were meeting anyone. And in the long term, maybe, I'm not saying this is what happens, but maybe it could be more of a friendship because you're not that person going, hi, I really love what you do, can I get an autograph? Ooh, it's so cringy. I see it happen so much, and it's just like, oh, dude. And sometimes I know the person, I'm like, but you're so cool. Just be yourself. Just have a chat about music. It doesn't need to be, hi, I'm a massive fan, or it just, it can be, hey, I just wanted to say I really love what you do. Something as simple as that, and that can open up a conversation. Or it might not, because that artist or band or whatever might be like, knackered, please leave me alone. They may not say that, but it might be the vibe. In which case, space. Cool. See, I just wanted to say that. I'll see you later. Have a good show. Whatever. But who knows where it might lead. Anyway, sorry, that was my random little aside there, because I don't know, I think it's important. But anyway, I hope that little moment of rambling has helped you, Nathan. Thank you so much for the question. And whenever we are back out doing festivals, I can't wait. And I hope that it will set you up to be ready to just like nail it. And it's the best gig ever. And you can enjoy the gig. That's the other thing. Once you've covered all these things and you can actually be in the moment and just go, look, if something goes wrong, I can deal with it. I'm in a good spot. Everyone's happy around me. I haven't got dagger eyes coming from the stage manager for a multitude of reasons. And then you just get to enjoy it, which is what music's about, really, at the end of the day. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna love you. I'm gonna leave you. I hope you're well. I hope you're healthy. I hope you're safe wherever you are in the world. And if you have any questions yourself, then please feel free to leave them in the comments, and I will endeavour to do a video for you answering your questions in the best way I know how, which is via a lot of talking. Anyway, speak to you soon. Lots of love. Mwah. See you later. Bye.